how to build an illumaesthetic heart LED kit.
So this how-to video is going to be a little bit different because Garrett actually filmed everything and I'm going to do some voiceover and just pop in occasionally. And it's going to probably look like this is where I do all my editing. It's my closet. It's where I have space to put a computer. So I'm going to do all my editing in here and some voiceover and pop in occasionally. Let's start with tools, back out to the garage.
Let's go over the tools you'll need for this build. Starting with most obvious being a soldering iron. So obviously this is going to require a whole lot of soldering. That's important. This is probably $25 to $40 on Amazon. It's not too bad. It's lasted us over a year so far and it's still going pretty good. Next up is the actual illumaesthetic kit. So this is clearly not the heart kit, but every kit is just about the same. So it's gonna be your preferred design, which in this case, we're building the heart lights, not the C lights, which that's what those are. It's going to be LEDs. This is just one color. I think these are specifically the yellow. It will come with red and white as well. And this is just one thing of resistors. It will come with several options of resistors in the back. One thing you want to hang on to from the box is this paperwork right here. That's an amazing cheat sheet that illumaesthetic gives you. They have all the specs of the LEDs and of the resistors already mapped out for you. You really don't have to go online and look it up. They have it all on that sheet right there. So hang on to that, save it, make sure you don't lose it. Also, you don't have to leave them in the bag if you don't want to, obviously. This is what Garrett likes to do. He likes to organize them by color and leave them in this box. I personally leave them in the bag, but Garrett's gonna wire them up. He wants to do it like this. Pocket screwdriver. This is gonna be used to push the LEDs down and it's gonna be used to move the cathodes over. Small wire snips. This is gonna be used to cut the excess cathodes off of the LEDs. Shoe goo, or you can also use goop. This stuff is going to be used to hold the LEDs in place, and it's going to be used to hold the LED board into the back of the taillights. Next up is going to be wire. So obviously red and black is going to be our go-to for this. Ignore the color, that's for color shifting stuff. You're going to use the red and black wire so that you can wire up each of the lights. The power is going to come from the bulb plate on the back of the taillights, and you have to run it inside. I like to use this to get it to the actual LEDs inside. Along that same note, you're gonna need some solder. I've got this huge spool, or you can buy these small spools right here. If you're trying to make an entire harness, if you're doing like a show mode or anything like that, I like to use this loom right here to clean everything up. It makes it look really nice and professional. Kind of along that same line, heat shrink is really nice to have. It just makes the whole install look really clean and it protects from anything shorting out. If you don't have any heat shrink, electrical tape is a good alternative. It's just not as professional. One of the last few things you'll need is some sort of cutter. This does require trimming the back housing just a little bit in order to make the kit fit. We personally use the hot knife for this specific one, but if you have an ultrasonic cutter, you can use it. Probably not needed. The hot knife is definitely a good option in this case. If you don't have either of those, you can use a Dremel. And finally, silicone. This one specifically. That's going to be used to seal up the cut that you make in the back of the housing to put the boards in. Getting started here, you can see that Garrett is showing you what comes in the kit. It's going to be the main heart board and then a reverse heart board. He also showed you a couple of resistors there. This is how we put the LEDs in. You can see that the boards are cut to the exact shape that you need, so he just pushes them in. Right now he's showing you that the cathodes are two different sizes, so we do recommend that you put the LEDs going the same direction. We recommend doing that just because it makes wiring up the LEDs a lot easier. You can batch them in different groups a lot easier if you have the cathodes facing the same direction.
One thing we didn't mention right here is that one of the cathodes is going to be positive and one is going to be negative. And you can see that they're two different links, and that's how you can tell really quickly which one is which. Unfortunately, every batch of LEDs could be different. So the quickest way to test it is to just put positive on one side and negative on the other for just one single LED. It'll light up for just a second and burn out, but that way you'll know which one is which. Because if you have it reversed, if you have positive on the negative and negative on the positive, it is not going to light up at all. But if you have it going the correct way, it will light up. If you don't want to burn out the LED, you can put a resistor in line of your power tester and it won't pop it.
Now you can see that he's putting the LEDs in, and it's really just that simple, just pushing them in. Once you start having a lot of LEDs, if you're doing a really big kit like the C-Light kit, it can get a little bit more confusing trying to keep up with the different colors, but in this case it's pretty simple, as this big heart is red, medium heart is amber, and the small heart is white.
If you really wanted to, you could do all red, all white, all amber. You're building it, it's up to you.
After you have the LEDs installed, it's time to count how many LEDs you have and figure out how you want to batch them together. In this case, it looks like Garrett is going to batch them in groups of 5 LEDs.
That's where your cheat sheet is really going to come in handy, because you can just look at that real quick, what resistance you need, and put that resistor in. I wanted to show you real quick how we install the resistor onto the LEDs. So you're going to pick any 2 LEDs that are in your batch, and then you're going to twist the resistor cathode around the power and ground cathode of the 2 LEDs that you picked. So in this case we have ground over here and power over here. You're just trying to put it in series, and we twist it around the wire. You're going to also do the same thing over here, just like so. Once you have it like this, it's a good idea to go ahead and push it down a little bit. Make sure you get it all the way down on that cathode. Go ahead and solder here and solder here, and then trim it, and you can fold them over and they're out of the way, clean.
After you have the resistors installed, you can now start laying the cathodes over. You need to wire each batch in series, so you're going to do negative to positive, negative to positive, negative to positive, all the way down. You should end with a positive on one side, a negative on the other side, and a resistor somewhere in the middle. As you can see, we like to trim the extra cathode off just so that it's a cleaner install and you have less chance of anything shorting out. After you trim them, go ahead and lay them next to each other. We try to make them about the same length so that there is a lot of surface for them to touch and not short out. Then we're going to go ahead and solder them together after this. To make the install move a little bit quicker, we like to go ahead and cut and bend the cathodes over, and then once they're all bent over and cut, we solder everything at once. It just helps it move a little bit quicker. Next up, every single power can be wired together, every single ground can be wired together, and you can test it to make sure that everything works. In this case, it does. The process is the same for the turn signal and the reverse light. For the builds we do, we go ahead and add a Corso motion module, which makes the turn signal sequential turn, which I already have a whole video on that, which we can link above.
Once you have the LEDs installed, then it's time to add some shoe goo onto the LEDs just to make sure that they're not going to go anywhere. More than likely they wouldn't, but just in case, it's a good idea to go ahead and add some of this. You can just add bigger glob like that, and then just run it down the side of the LED. It's not going to hurt it. The good thing about shoe goo is that if you heat it up, it will loosen up and you can just pull the whole thing off in one sheet. And just in case you're wondering, it's not conductive, so you're good. All you have left is to install the boards into the back housing, shoe glue it in place, wire it to the OEM plug, and you're done. Okay, bye.